We all know the feeling. You finish a book that was okay. I mean, it was entertaining, maybe even viral. Your book club loved it, book talk loved it, but 5 minutes after reading it, you're completely ready to move on. Now that's 8 hours of your life that you can't get back. The story just didn't change you. On the other hand, there are books that you've read years ago and you still think about them. Those stories have rewired something in your brain. Those are the stories we never forget. Those are the ones that you want to pass down to your kids one day. So what's the difference? I realize that I am done reading books that are just okay. I'm done reading just to hit arbitrary yearly goals. I want to find books that are going to last in my psyche. The books that we'll still be reading in 2076. So I'm starting a new series. I'm launching a quest to find the best of the best in modern literature across all genres, and I've built a specific tool to do it. This quest is about finding modern classics that are hiding in plain sight. Let me paint a picture. Right now, we are living in the golden age of book marketing, but not necessarily the golden age of book quality. We have algorithms constantly telling us what we should read, while influencers are pushing certain books just because they're trendy, all while personal reading challenges are rewarding quantity over quality. And look, I'm guilty. I've forced myself to read as many books as I can just to feel like I'm keeping up. But here's what I've noticed. There are a lot of books I've read in the past year or two that I hardly remember. And look, there's nothing wrong with reading for pure entertainment. I love a good beach read, a quick thriller on a plane, and sometimes a cheesy, predictable rom-com is the perfect palate cleanser. But when everything becomes disposable, when we start to treat every book like it's just another opportunity to turn off our brain, that's when we start to lose something important. Here's the uncomfortable truth that I had to face. Really liking a book doesn't make it a masterpiece. In the same way loving a cheesy quesarito from Taco Bell doesn't exactly make it fine dining. I've given 5 stars to books that had perfectly executed plots, and I stand by that. They delivered on exactly what they promised to. But would I teach them in a literature class in 2075? Probably not. On the flip side, I've read books that have challenged me, frustrated me even, but I knew they were important. Some books I had to sit with for a week before I started to understand what they were doing. And I fear that we've conflated two completely separate things: personal taste with literary quality. Here's the thing, both matter, but we need language to talk about the difference. We need a way to say, this book gave me exactly what I needed right now, but I realized that it's not Jane Eyre. Or this book challenged me in ways I didn't enjoy, but I recognize that it's brilliant. That is what this whole quest is about. Now, the reason I think a rubric is really important is because although stars are great, they're usually based on the feeling a book gave you. And while the best books absolutely make us feel something, feelings don't always tell us the why. This rubric can help you move past the emotion. It's meant to help you switch gears a little bit and give you the tools to articulate why exactly a book gave you that 5-star feeling. And hey, we'll probably still all rate books differently. I could think a prose is beautiful while someone else thinks the author is trying too hard. But at least now we're opening up a deeper conversation rather than just arguing if something is simply good or not. This all began with a challenge to myself to read more classics this year. I started to ask, what makes a book a classic? What exactly makes these stories age so well? What do Pride and Prejudice, 1984, To Kill a Mockingbird, and The Lord of the Rings have in common? All completely different genres, and yet they're all still relevant. After looking into it, I was able to pick up a few books, one of them being An Experiment in Criticism by C.S. Lewis himself. And that's when this rubric started to form. So I'm calling this series the 50-year test. Every time I pick up a book, I want to think critically about 5 categories. All good books should contain some degree of prose, depth, and themes. They should be immersive and to some degree rereadable. The first category, prose, is all about the author's craft. Does the writing itself hold any value beyond just conveying information. We're looking for mastery of language, distinct voice, beautiful sentence structure, and overall, a unique writing style. A 10 out of 10 is a book that you could read just for the rhythm of the words. You should be able to open any page and still see the artistry. A low score would be for a functional prose. Maybe it gets the job done, but there's nothing special about the sentences themselves. Next, I want to look at the depth. Can you dig into this book and find layers? This is where we can start to differentiate between a consumer product and a work of art. A consumer product gives you exactly what you would expect, where a work of art challenges you. A low score would rely on tropes. The villain is bad just to be bad. The conflict is a simple misunderstanding, and the characters are like cardboard cutouts, simply moving from point A to point B. A high score would embrace nuance and ambiguity. The characters will likely make choices that will frustrate you, but it's because they feel human. These books don't hand you the moral on a silver platter. They force you to wrestle with it, and they respect your intelligence. A good way to gauge depth is to ask yourself, did this book leave me with answers, or did it leave me with more questions? And the best books usually leave you with questions. Category 3 is universal themes. Think of this like the anchor of the story. Does this story speak to the eternal human condition? Things like grief, love, ambition, morality, or is it trapped in the specific social trends of 2026? A 50-year book tackles problems that will still exist in 50 years. This is the 50-year part of the 50-year test. These are the things that are going to matter to readers even in 2076. It's fine for the setting to be modern, but the core of the story should be eternal. If a book is only relevant because it mentions TikTok or COVID-19, it's probably not passing the test. Category 4 is immersion. Does the author create a sense of place so vivid that the atmosphere lingers long after you close the book? The setting should be a character in and of itself. A low score would be one where the characters are kind of just talking into the void. You're told where they are, but you don't really feel it. A high score is almost a sensory experience. You can smell the rain on the pavement, or feel the claustrophobia of a tight room. We know from Gothic novels that the atmosphere can dictate the mood of a story. I don't want to just read about a place. I want to feel like I'm also inhabiting it. You can gauge this by asking yourself, when I look up from this book, does it take me a second to remember where I actually am? And finally, category 5, or the Lewis factor, is all about rereadability. This one's taken directly from C.S. Lewis himself, who famously said, "No book is really worth reading at the age of 10, which is not equally, and often far more, worth reading at the age of 50. So this one is all about asking, is this book worth reading twice? Does it reveal anything new on the second visit? If the only value of a book is finding out what happens, then it really loses its value once you know the ending. True classics reward you every time you revisit them. You might notice things like foreshadowing, symbolism, or maybe craftsmanship that you missed the first time. A low score for this one would be a one and done novel. If once you know the plot twist, you feel like the book has nothing left for you, it's probably disposable. Whereas a high score would be something inexhaustible. This is one you could read at ages 20, 30, or even 50. And it's like a different book each time because you're different. So here's how our scores are going to break down. 0 to 20 is good for now, but maybe not later. Enjoy it and then pass it on. Anything that scores from 21 to 39 is a resonant read. These are great quality. It's worth keeping if you loved it. These books might not make it to 2076, but they're still excellent. And finally, anything scoring from 40 to 50 is a future classic. These are masterpieces. Go out and buy a special edition because these are heirlooms. Those are exactly what we're hunting for. So here's what's happening with this channel moving forward. I'll be reading across genres. I'm going to be applying this rubric to every single book. I'm not just reviewing anymore. I'm searching. I want to find the books that are being published right now that will still matter in 50 years. So from now on, all future reviews will cover where a book excels, where it falls short, and whether it's a momentary pleasure, an enduring read, or a modern classic. But I don't want to do it alone. I want you to come with me. This isn't about me telling you what to read. This is all about building a community of readers who want to go deeper, who want to think critically about what makes literature great, not just enjoyable. And I'm calling this new community the Commonplace Society. Maybe recently you've seen the trend of people starting commonplace journals. Historically, a commonplace book is just a personal notebook where readers can collect quotes, wisdom, and ideas they want to keep forever. It was an intentional act of preserving what matters, rather than simply consuming content. And that's what we're doing here. In a world of fast reads and infinite content, we're slowing down. We're the readers with a pencil and a highlighter in hand. We're building libraries that will outlast us. So if you're tired of disposable reading and you want to join me on this quest, then go ahead and click the link in the description box to join the Commonplace Society. When you sign up, you'll immediately get the 50-year test rubric for absolutely free. Be sure to print it out so that you can start rating books right alongside me. And be sure to share your scores in the comments. Let's debate about what makes a modern classic. Because here's the thing, the best books of our generation are out there. They're just buried beneath algorithm-driven recommendations and viral hype. If we're intentional though, we can find them. Together, let's build libraries that are worth keeping. I'll see y'all in my next video.